pass it off to our first speaker, which I'm so excited to introduce. So I'm going to say, first our funding, now our friends, and you'll repeat that. And then I'm going to say, we will fight until this ends, and you will repeat that. First our funding, now our friends.
First our funding, now our friends.
We will fight until this ends.
We will fight until this ends.
First our funding, now our friends.
First our funding, now our friends.
We will fight until this ends.
We will fight until this ends.
Now today, you'll hear from a group of students and faculty, both domestic and international. You'll hear how Trump's latest attack fits into the bigger picture of his authoritarian assault on higher education. You'll hear exactly what international students mean for our campus here at Harvard. And finally, you'll hear anonymous testimonies from international students who were unable to speak publicly out of fear for their safety. And first and foremost now, let's welcome together to the stage Jacob Miller, the president of Hillel in 2023, former chair of the Harvard Crimson's editorial board in 2024, and a graduating senior doing a double concentration in math and economics. Welcome, Jacob Miller.
Hi. My name is Jacob Miller. I want to tell you the story of Frances Dubsky. Frances Dubsky was my great-grandmother. She was a Jew in the University of Vienna. In 1938, she was expelled. She was going to be in the generation of one of the first female doctors. And instead, she was expelled because she was a Jew from one of the top universities in the world at the time. I stand here before you today at the top university in the world today, watching my peers face removal because of their nationality.
Shame!
If there is anything to learn from this Jewish history, it's that when we push people out of our schools because of their identity, it's a symptom of a morally bankrupt politics. That is why the administration's excuse for these policies that they somehow address anti-Semitism are so absurd. Let's be clear. This has nothing to do with combating anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is a real problem. It's a problem at Harvard. It's a problem in our country. But these policies will do nothing to combat this age-old hatred. Instead, they are designed to divide us apart. And so I'm here today to tell you that the Jewish community rejects this administration's narrative. We will not allow our identities to be invoked to destroy Harvard. We will not allow our identities to be invoked to undermine institutions of higher education. And we will not allow the administration to wield our identities as a pretextual prop in the political persecution of our peers. The Jewish sage Ben Zoma asked, "Who is wise?" His answer, which is recorded in Ethics of the Father, says, "He who learns from everyone." I can tell you that in my time at Harvard, I have learned so much from the international community. There are problem set partners, our peers. They've been my co-editors at the Crimson. Most importantly, they're our friends. The idea that the wise man is one who learns from everyone is not just a Jewish idea. It's an American idea too. It's why we're a nation of immigrants. It's why people, like my great-grandmother, fought desperately to get a visa to come here. It's because we recognize that there is an important difference and that we can learn from everyone. We will not stand for this. Not the Harvard community and not the Jewish community.
All right, let's have another round of applause for Jacob Miller. Woo! Repeat after me. We're here to learn and not to leave.
We're here to learn and not to leave.
In education, we believe.
In education, we believe.
We're here to learn and not to leave.
We're here to learn
education we believe.
In education we believe.
Thank you. And now, let's please welcome to the stage Professor Ryan Enos, Professor of Government at Harvard and a member of the Harvard chapter of the American Association of University Professors. Let's hear it for Professor Enos.
Hello. There's nowhere I'd rather be right now than seeing all these international students and their supporters. We need you here, all of you, because you're now all part of a struggle that's bigger than ourselves. This has not been a fight that you asked for, but let me tell you, I know that you are all up for this fight. I know this because I know you. I've worked here for 15 years, and I will tell you that the international students that I have taught and worked with are the finest people I know. There is no Harvard without them. There is no Harvard without you. And because of that, we stand united. We will fight to keep all of you here at this university. Each and every one of you is worth fighting for. You each earned your place at Harvard. But we have to understand that this is not just a fight for international students. And it's not just a fight for Harvard. And it's certainly not a fight over politics. It's not a fight between Democrats and Republicans. This is a fight for democracy and for the rule of law. These are the principles that unite us. We are not here to protect our diplomas or to protect Harvard's endowment. We are here because of an idea in America, represented by all of you, that is worth fighting for. It tells you a lot about an institution or about a country if people come from across the world to be there. It also tells you a lot about a country when it sends its people across the world to help others. You know, I know this because in a certain way, I started my life as an international student. I was born as an American citizen, but not in this country. I was born in what was then West Germany. My very earliest perspectives were as a visitor, learning and being nurtured by another country. But the important part is why my family was in Germany. At the height of the Cold War, the struggle between tyranny and freedom, between dictatorship and democracy, my father was stationed in Germany as part of the American military. And he was one of millions. When America was taking a stand for democracy and for a way of life, millions of men and women from the United States uprooted their lives. And American taxpayers paid with their dollars to be in the front line of freedom. It was America that took on that duty. We didn't leave it to somebody else to protect freedom. Now look, I'm not naive. I understand history. So I know that America was not perfect in its history. And I'm not asking you to believe that America is perfect now. But I'm asking you to believe in an idea. The idea that America can stand for something great. When my family was overseas, it was standing for something remarkable. It was a country that used its wealth and power to try to make the world a better place. For many of you, it was this idea of freedom and democracy and the blessings that flow from these that made you want to come to America. This is the noble idea of America, an America that brings in, teaches, and nurtures the best and the brightest from around the globe and gives so much back to the world. An America that sends its citizens and our science and our ideas around the world to better humankind. An America that stands for democracy, for the idea that a government is for the people and by the people. An idea that people, all people, have certain inalienable rights. But I want to be clear. All of this is now under threat. The attack on Harvard, the attack that is on all of you, is at the center of an attack on democracy, an attack on the rule of law. There's a reason that Donald Trump's attempt to keep international students out of Harvard was blocked by a judge in less than 24 hours. It was blocked because it's blatantly illegal. It not only violates statutory law, but it violates the American constitutional protections of freedom of speech and due process. Freedom of speech and due process, these are the foundations of the American system. These are the foundations of a free society. But Donald Trump is attacking these freedoms because they get in the way of his authoritarian takeover. This is what authoritarians do. And look, I know it may surprise you because he seems so obsessed with us, but Donald Trump doesn't actually care about Harvard. He wants to take Harvard down because universities stand for free ideas and for free speech. Free ideas and free speech get in the way of authoritarians. And so like authoritarians before him in places like Russia, like Turkey, and like Hungary, Donald Trump is attacking universities. And like other authoritarians, Donald Trump is attacking the most vulnerable members of our society, including immigrants. But let me tell you, he underestimated Harvard, and he underestimated all of you.
That's right.
Harvard stood up and said no. You all stood up and said no. And guess what? We are going to keep saying no because we understand what is at stake here. A rally like this shows what a powerful voice you are. Together we are a powerful voice, and we will stand up for Harvard and for the America that we believe in. I often tell my students that you came to Harvard to do something big, because you wanted to do something big, because you wanted to make a difference in the world. Right now, you are doing that. The world is watching as we speak, and we speak up for an ideal of America. This is what we are fighting for, and I know together that we can win. Thank you.
Got another immense round of applause for Professor Ryan Enos. All right, we're going to do a few more chants before we hear from our next, another fabulous speaker. Harvard's voice is loud and clear.
Harvard's voice is loud and clear.
Every student's welcome here.
Every student's welcome here.
Harvard's voice is loud and clear.
Harvard's voice is loud and clear.
Every student's welcome here.
Every student's welcome here.
All right, now we're going to hear from another speaker, a student, Clive Lawrence, who is an incredible student organizer and a sophomore concentrating in government. Let's please welcome Clive to the stage.
When immigrants are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When immigrants are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
My name is Clive Lawrence, and I am a student at Harvard College. As a child of immigrants and part of a military family, I came here to study, grow, and learn from others. But today, those freedoms are under attack. Today, I am saying that must end. Today, I am here to stand for academic freedom, for free speech, and with international students. Over this year, Donald Trump has made his plans clear. An unlawful, unconstitutional crackdown on some of our most fundamental American values. He is attempting to bend our institutions to his will. Responding to this moment requires us to reckon with our history, our present, and our future. Harvard must be up to the task. The great cavern of change is here. There's no going back. We must choose to stand up and fight back against Donald Trump, against suppression, and against injustice. Trump has begun a dangerous march to roll back civil rights in this country. We've seen his vicious, racist attacks on speech and diversity, and his alliance with far-right billionaires who amplify fascist rhetoric. In broad daylight. If we want any chance of stopping their authoritarian agenda, we have to do it now, right here at Harvard and throughout our communities. When immigrants are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When immigrants are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
That's right. What you hear in the news about Harvard isn't isolated. It's coordinated. An assault on dissent, on community, and on institutional independence. And we know this because of where Trump started. It has been 80 days since Mahmoud Khalil was detained for his political speech. A warning to every international student who dares to speak out that ICE could just disappear them from campus. It's been over a month since Trump began cutting Harvard's research funding, jeopardizing our university's core mission. And just under a week ago, Trump made one of his most brazen attacks yet, revoking our campus's ability to enroll international students. Shame! Shame! Are we going to let that stand? No! Are we going to let that stand? No! What do we need to do? We need to stand firm! Stand firm! Stand firm! Stand firm!
Stand firm!
That's right. We have to end these attacks. It is up to us, each and every one of us. You already know this by being here. Harvard's mission is under siege, not in theory, but in practice. Trump's policies are choking our ability to teach, to learn, and to grow. But we also know something else. When students build power, we win. When campuses build power, we win. When communities build power, we win. History proves it. When students push back against oppression, when we organize with working people and fight for justice, we what? We win! At Harvard, we are joining a long line of anti-war movements, of civil rights movements that show how exactly we can bring about change. And today, we commit ourselves again to resistance and solidarity, especially now more than ever for our international peers. But we must be clear. This is not the kind of solidarity where leaders say one thing and do another, or worse, don't do anything at all. Harvard will only continue fighting for its international students as far as we push it to. Because we mobilized, we can be proud that Harvard is taking Trump to court. But if we want our campus to truly reflect justice, inclusion, and belonging, we must go further together. So let's keep building this movement. For students here, join student groups. For communities here, join community organizations. March in solidarity. Demand protection for our peers and hold our university accountable every step of the way. Because history doesn't remember those who sat quietly while democracy was dismantled. They remember us, the ones who organized, the risk takers, the ones who stood up when it mattered most. We are those people. We are that moment. And our power is just beginning. Let's get to work. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Clive Lawrence! All right, we're going to do one more. Repeat after me. You guys are doing great with those. Who belongs in class today?
Who belongs in class today?
Every student, let them stay.
Every student, let them stay.
I said, who belongs in class today?
Who belongs in class today?
Every student, let them stay.
Every student, let them stay.
All right, we have a few more speakers. We're going to have a group of 3 speakers, and then we're going to have a final speaker who is going to be Leo, an international student from Sweden, who many of you already know. Woo! Now, as many of you know, the Trump administration has intentionally created a climate of fear, both across the country and right here on our own campus. And while many courageous international students have spoken out publicly, including one you'll hear from very soon, others are understandably afraid to speak up, afraid of retaliation, afraid of deportation, afraid for their livelihoods, and afraid for their futures. But these students must still be heard, and so Students for Freedom created an anonymous submission portal where international students could more safely share their stories. Today, we will read some of those stories out loud. To protect the international students who share these testimonies anonymously, 3 domestic students will stand in their place and give voice to their words. Woo! Now, when you hear these personal testimonies, American students speaking the words of their international classmates, we hope that you will recognize, that you will understand that our voices are united. You cannot divide us, domestic and international alike. We are part of only one university. And for every student who cannot safely speak out, there is an American student ready to defend them, to stand beside them, and to speak up with them. Woo! So now I'd like you all to welcome our next 3 speakers. We have Ray Traynor, a junior at Harvard doing a double concentration in psychology and molecular biology, Avinashi Bandari, a junior concentrating in physics and chemistry, and Victor Flores, a senior and a co-president of the Harvard Democrats in 2024. Let's hear it for these 3 speakers. Woo!
Can everybody hear me?
No!
Okay. The mic is
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah!
Awesome! Okay, so this is my first time speaking at a protest. Thank you. And as a science student at Harvard, I know that international students contribute so much to our scientific community and to our community of friends. I could say so much about how Trump is targeting our research and our student body, both our ability to produce knowledge and to share it. But I want to talk a little bit about what it was like to help organize this protest. I would say that for every student I talked to who said that they were excited to come and that they could make it, I talked to someone else who was afraid to come.
Yeah.
That is abominable. Aren't we supposed to have free assembly in this country? Why do we fear government retaliation? Shame. Trump is using our international students as a bargaining chip. He's threatening to revoke our school's hosting status unless we turn over a massive amount of disciplinary information and surveillance. This is information we are not legally required to give, and once he has it, he will use it for his own nefarious ends. He will use it to attack student protesters like all of you standing here today. Shame. Trump is also proposing, just now, to review the social media feeds of student visa applicants, presumably so that he can screen out those who disagree with him. Shame. When Trump demands viewpoint diversity at our university, it's clear what he really means. He wants to control what our students say, think, and believe. Shame. This is a blatant attempt at government repression, but we will not be repressed. Today, we can stand up and say no. We can say that our international community is too valuable to use as a bargaining chip. We can say that the government has no business demanding our student records. We can say that we support Harvard's fight against the Trump administration. And that we support our international students in their right to study. Today, I'm speaking for myself, but I am also speaking for all of those students who are afraid to speak. They have submitted anonymous statements because they fear retaliation, a sentence I never thought I would have to say in America. But even in our fear, we will not be silenced. Okay, our first statement, my first statement, comes from an international student who is a freshman in the class of 2028. And they said, "I am enraged and infuriated by the Trump administration's decision to revoke Harvard's SEVP certification, the latest episode in a series of vicious attacks against our university. This has nothing to do with fighting anti-Semitism or pro-terrorist sympathies on campus, and everything to do with punishing our university for its refusal to bend its knees and lick Trump's boots. We stand united against the illegal and unconstitutional actions of this administration, and we will not give up the fight. Hasta la victoria siempre." A Harvard International student from the class of 27 wrote this: "Trump's attack on Harvard and on us international students has been deeply impacting my mental health, performance in school, and future. Shame. As a government student, my focus has shifted from understanding the world to fighting for my own rights in a country that is built on the very idea of freedom. No country can ever take democracy for granted, and I hope that people will stand up for it. Suddenly, everything in my life feels uncertain, including coming back to America in the fall. Seeing what happened to students who speak out, my family is really worried about my safety in the U.S. Shame. I'll turn it over to our next speaker, Avinashi. Can you hear me? All right. Yeah, I want to echo a lot of what Ray has said. I'm appalled just to have to be up here to defend my international student friends. This is a place that I never thought I would get living here in the U.S. But I want to speak as a physics and chemistry concentrator. I've found that frequently, actually, we're some of the least vocal activists on campus, which at a time like this would be a real injustice. As people studying science, we know that the only way that we can successfully do so is by collaborating with all students, especially international ones. I can speak from my own experience here, right? Some of the best students and best PSET partners I've encountered have been international students. They bring unique approaches to problems as well as incredible friendships outside of the classroom. I want to just ask the students here to reflect on the professors they've had at Harvard. For STEM concentrators, I can say the majority, if not all of us, have had an international professor at some point. And that is because we need the experiences and viewpoints of a diverse group of faculty in order to perform the rigorous research that we strive for. The attack on Harvard and its international students is part of a deeper effort to defund and dismantle the academic world. It's an attempt to reroute our brightest researchers into private corporations, stripping academic institutions of their power. But is that how academics have historically responded in the face of fascism? Have the majority sided with the nationalistic pushes of their home governments? No. And that's exactly what led to the brain drain in Europe in the 20th century. When academia fell apart, we saw an influx of brilliant academics into the U.S., and by taking them in, we were able to become the center of research that we are today. America has always benefited from being part of the international scientific community. Iconic achievements like the Human Genome Project simply wouldn't have happened without foreign-born scientists who came to the U.S. to study and work. International students educated in the U.S. have gone on to win Nobel Prizes and make groundbreaking contributions to knowledge across the world. This is what Donald Trump is attacking today. The U.S. U.S. is only able to call itself a hub of scientific prowess because of the international community of researchers that live here. And by blocking Harvard from enrolling international students, we lose the ability to foster the scientific community at all. So that's speaking from the perspective of a scientist, but I also have some students, some submissions from international students here that I will read. So this is from a student in the class of 2027, and they said that diversity at Harvard, defined in large part by the international community, is the reason that I came to Harvard. Trump and his administration's attacks on Harvard are simply an attempt to censor schools that don't comply with his legal, unconstitutional orders. I am stunned by the shamelessness of everything that is being done, and the fact that behavior like this is normalized is the biggest problem. Active pushback is required from all of us. Another sophomore international student says, I come from a country that has a well-protected human rights and democratic values. I never thought that by coming to America I would lose the same freedoms I was lucky to grow up with. In light of recent events, I worry that this country is on a path towards authoritarianism, something that will harm even Americans. I will now pass off to the next speaker.
Hello everyone, and thank you for having me. As you see, I am a graduating senior, standing before you, wearing my regalia, set to walk the stage on Thursday, and it's crazy to think that instead of celebrating with my family, I had to leave my dinner early to come to a rally to advocate on behalf of our international community here at Harvard, who have been an incredible part of my story here at the university, and I want to share a bit of that with you here today. So I want to briefly share some words from the perspective of a senior who has been deeply impacted by international peers over my time at Harvard. Coming from a small, rural community, most folks back home don't end up leaving our hometown. Few travel outside of the United States. As a student at Harvard, the world opened up to me as the campus's diversity gave me the opportunity to collaborate and exchange ideas with students from communities, backgrounds, and with experiences completely different from my own. And this learning began quickly as day one, when I had the immense luck to be sorted into a room with my gorgeously kind first-year roommate, an opera singer from India. Among the many things that he taught me was a surprising amount of German, as he used our common room as a rehearsal space where he prepared for his role in the magic flute. Most importantly, however, he taught me the value of authenticity. One of the first things that I learned about him was that he was gay. I had never lived with a gay person before, but his openness and kindness allowed me to ask questions about his life and experiences, finding that some of the things that I had been feeling, but too afraid to share, were similar to his story. Ultimately, I had to do the hard personal work to unpack my internalized homophobia so that I could be honest with myself. I am queer, and seeing how he was able to find love and community in an environment arguably far more dangerous than my own gave me the confidence to be my authentic self. And so he was the first person I came out to in our shared room in Pennypacker freshman year. I share this to say that I would not be the person that I am today without the relationships I have built with my peers, both international and domestic, here at Harvard. And for that, I am eternally grateful. It is also to say that the events over the past few months have made clear that capitulating to the Trump administration by eliminating affinity graduations or providing the disciplinary records of students without telling them what of their records has been shared will never be enough. Harvard must remain steadfast in its commitment to the value of diversity that made my experiences possible. Now, I thank you all for the opportunity to share my perspective, but now I'd love to share those of my peers who cannot be here with us today without great risk. From the class of 2027, To everyone, no matter where you lie on the political spectrum, I hope this matter opens your eyes. College is an opportunity to learn from your peers. The perspectives international students bring to the table make their peers better and more prepared to take on the world. Harvard is not Harvard without its internationals. And now finally, here's a statement from one of my peers, a Harvard senior. The Trump administration says that it is a privilege for Harvard to host international students and for international students to be here. It is indeed a privilege, not one bestowed by a man, but by the constitutions and the laws of this country. We applied to Harvard, got in, went through the lengthy visa process. We followed all the laws. We earned it. Anyone who cares about the rule of law should be against this blatant violation of the law. So thank you all once again for having me and my domestic peers up here to be able to share the perspectives of our international students. We urge you to continue to listen to those of the international students and the international community that are able to step up and step forward. And for those of you who are fearful, rightly so, know that you have the backing of the rest of the Harvard community to stand up for you, to be your representatives, and to advocate so that you don't have to risk being here to do so. Thank you all.
Let's hear another round of applause for Ray, Avinash, and Victor. Woo! We won't be split, we won't divide.
We won't be split, we won't divide.
History is on our side.
History is on our side.
We won't be split, we won't divide.
We won't be split, we won't divide.
History is on our side.
History is on our side.
Now, gathered here today, we understand why it is so important to stand united and to stand organized against the Trump administration today. And that is because organized power is real power. It is by standing with our friends, our peers, our community members in solidarity that we can fight the good fight and that we can win. Woo! Because when immigrants are under attack, what do?
Stand up, fight back!
I said when immigrants are under attack, what do?
Stand up, fight back!
What do?
Stand up, fight back!
What do?
Stand up, fight back!
And now, finally, before I introduce our final speaker, I'd like to plug in our Instagram, because that is how we will stay connected over this summer, because this fight is not over this semester. It is not over with graduation in 2 days. The Trump administration has 7 more semesters worth of attacks on Harvard, and so we cannot back down now. And so our Instagram is Harvard Students for Freedom. The 4 is the number 4. Again, that's Harvard Students for Freedom. And you can join there with a link in the bio. Thank you. And now, last but very, very certainly not least, I'd like to introduce a dear friend, an international student from Sweden and a co-founder of Students for Freedom. Let's hear it for Leo! Woo!
Not the best day to fall.
Great, can you all hear me? Great. Thank you so much, Nuriel, and thank you all who showed up from the Harvard community, from the Cambridge community, and beyond. The last couple of weeks have been nothing what I expected senior spring to be. In response to Trump's assault on higher education and on free speech, we started to mobilize this movement, Students for Freedom. Woo! And I have taken every opportunity to stand up for the values that were the reasons that I came to America in the first place. Freedom of speech, academic freedom, the promise of America. And because of that, I've lived with a constant fear of not being able to attend this commencement and graduate. When a man looks at me for a couple more seconds than usual, my heartbeat has started going up. Because it might be an ICE agent who's about to detain me like they did with Romesa Ozturk, Mahmoud Khalil, and Xenia Petrova. I can no longer count how many times people have told me that what I'm doing is too risky, that I need to get a lawyer, that it's not worth it, that I should be careful with what I say. And that, my friends, should be proof enough that this country is on a very, very dangerous track. And in his attempt to dictate our speech and take over this university, Trump is willing to use all internationals as poker chips, as collateral. It is deeply, deeply dehumanizing. He's throwing people's lives into chaos, and the uncertainty itself will deter people from coming to America to study and do research. Because without these international students, Harvard is not Harvard. That's right. And look, me and my fellow international students, we never wanted to take this fight. But we have no choice but to take it. Because if we start to give in, he's going to demand even more. If we hand over a couple of names of students who, say, participated in a protest, he's going to come back and ask for 100 more. If we fire a few controversial professors, every economics professor who criticizes his tariffs, or a medical researcher who developed vaccines, or a law professor who simply teaches the Constitution, all of them will then be at risk. That is why we have to stand firm, we have to stand united, because we will never, never surrender our independence. So Harvard, please join me in saying no to every single one of Trump's demands. Are we going to let Trump dictate what can be said in our classrooms? No! Louder! No! Are we going to let Trump fire professors who disagree with him? No! Are we going to let Trump install himself as provost of this university? No! Never, 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 never. Because doing so would be a shame to the ideals and values that this place is supposed to install in us, and that we celebrate this week in particular. Veritas, the right to voice dissent, whether it's in the classroom or it's from the stage of a protest. And doing so would be a shame to the people who walked before us. Those who fought on this very ground 250 years ago to reject a British monarch in favor of a free country. Those who fought for black students to be admitted to this campus. Those who fought for women to be admitted to this campus. My fellow Harvard students, we are in an equally important moment right now. One that will define not only the history, the course of history of this university, but one that will serve as an example for the rest of the country, for the rest of the world. Because if we give up, others will surely follow suit. We can never allow that to happen. We will never allow that to happen. Because, my friends, Trump's intentions, they are pretty clear. He wants to rule as a dictator. He's going to continue to make demands, threats, trying to intimidate us, trying to crush any resistance. But whether he succeeds or not is up to us. We have the choice of whether to accept it or rise against it. We have agency. We, the people, have the ultimate power over the direction of this country. And since we are gathering here around the time of commencement, let me use this opportunity to say something to my fellow class of 2025 graduates. I hope that we can all learn something from these last couple of months. We will all find ourselves in similar situations as Alan Garber in the companies and institutions we work for and lead. Collectively, the class of 2025 is going to have a lot of power in this world. Use it wisely. Use it to resist any attempt to make you do what goes against your principles. Let's all use it to put us on a better trajectory than the one we are on right now. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for coming to this. Thank you all for the wonderful speakers. I'll give it up. Last one to Miriam.
Hey, thank you everybody for being here. Again, follow the Instagram Harvard Students for Freedom. Stay connected, stay in touch, and don't give up the fight. Thank you.
Would you like to do a quick interview about why it's important for you to be here today? Awesome. And your baby is so cute. So
strongly activist dog.
Of course, of course. Is it him or her?
It's a him.
Him.
Rafi.
Rafi, that's beautiful.
R-A-F-I.
Awesome. Let me just make sure I have everything I need. 1, 2.